Reddit, what's the most gangsta crap you've ever done? In middle school, I got my bike stolen. At the time, I was really into freestyle BMX and had put what little money I had into the bike. Found out that the kid who did it was riding my bike to school. Waited by the bike racks for a bit after school with the biggest wrench and beat the crap out of him until he gave me the key to his lock. Waited by the bike racks for a bit after school with the biggest wrench. He's gonna use the wrench to steal his bike back. And beat the crap out of him until he gave me the key. Well then. I was paying for Tootsie Rolls. The total was $1.06. I had a buck. I grabbed 6 pennies from the give a penny take a penny tray. The cashier guy said, "That's not how we use that tray." I said, "It is today, Holmes," and walked the frick out of there. Got drunk at a party and won a rap battle against someone who was kinda gangsta. I saw him at college, British college, and when I walked past I heard him tell his gangsta friends that my bars are sick. Felt good, man. Dang, it feels good to be a gangsta. In 1998, when I was in 8th grade, my best friend won a top prize for an under the cap type contest for Mountain Dew. On the last day of school, we rolled up during lunch right out into the quad area where the entire school was eating lunch, sitting in the back of a jet black MTN Dew Hummer. The entire back was completely full of the dew. We stood on that stack of canned green awesomeness in the back of that truck and looked onto a field of stunned junior high school kids who could not comprehend what they were seeing, screaming out, "Free Mountain Dew" at the top of my lungs and getting mobbed by hundreds of sugar crazed kids while me and my buddy are making it rain cans and 12 packs was by far the most gangster thing I have ever done. I'm 30 now and I just got chills even thinking about that day. Shout out to my best friend for making that happen and taking me along for the ride. We were best buddies for life until he lost his last year. We'll do the Dew again on the other side, man. I miss you, buddy. Pour out a Dew for the homie. So this is about 8 years ago, and it didn't happen to me, but rather my brother. I watched the whole deal from my bedroom window while listening to 9 Inch Nails and sharpening my katana or whatever the frick I did in high school. First, a bit of backstory. My brother and I were raised poor, and we lived in what you could probably call a lower income neighborhood. My brother fell in with a bad crowd and hung around some crappy folks in the local trailer park. He and his buddy were known as the 2x4 twins. Because, well, they hit people with large pieces of wood. So that out of the way, my brother and his girlfriend had just broken up. Nasty breakup. She cheated on him, yada yada. It was high school, so it was the end of the freaking world for him. Well, one day he decides to call her and ask for her back. She freaks out. Her new boyfriend grabs the phone. New boyfriend, who we will call Frank, decides that he is going to be the tough guy and threaten my brother. He didn't know who he was dealing with, but whatever. He says he and his buddies are going to roll up and take him out. My brother says something along the lines of, "This is my address. Mother, come at me, bro." So 30 minutes of pacing back and forth later, these guys roll up in a little white car. Frank and his 3 buddies sit in the car for a second, obviously checking to see if they had the right house. My brother didn't wait for them to confirm. He runs outside, grabs a massive tree branch that had fallen from a tree the night before, and smashes the passenger side window to fricking bits. Frank's buddy in the passenger seat is cut to fricking heck. All 4 dudes get out of the car and simply stand there in awe that this fricking dude just smashed the window of the car without even a word said. My brother then proceeds to calmly walk from guy to guy, totally fricking slapping each and every one of them in the face. After slapping the last guy, Frank, he tells them to get the frick out of our neighborhood before crap gets real, because that crap, that wasn't real. So they did. We never heard from Frank again. I asked my brother later when I'd finished painting my nails black and watching The Crow how he managed to pull that crap off. He looks nervous. He says he didn't mean to. The branch slipped from his hands and went through the window and he just sort of rolled with it. At the cafeteria at work, I put the salad dressing in a separate container so they don't charge me extra when they weigh my salad and crap. I think we work in the same hood. I broke into a kid's house, and then his locked bedroom, to stake back the cell phone he stole from my mum. When I couldn't find it, I stole a bunch of his crap and waited outside of his house until he discovered the missing stuff so I could negotiate an exchange. Felt like a boss when I gave my mom her phone back. I didn't even get on trouble for the methods I used. I was maybe 15 at the time. I had a car too that was in my spot. B no not to be parking in my spot. That crap never happened again. Word. I was walking down the street with my friend after getting dropped by a police car. We had been picked up trespassing on federal property, and some random guy crossing the street saw us and was like, "Hey, you got weed, bro?" And I was like, "Yeah, I got weed, bro." And then he paid my $20 and I gave him a little nug out of the herbs tin that I carry around with me. After the transaction was completed, I went downtown and bought some delicious noodles with the money he had given. That was my one experience as a drug dealer. When I was in middle school, I was very introverted, and still am, and I was also very short skinny for my age. I remember walking past a table full of popular kids at lunch and one of them yelled to me, "Hey, I've heard you were talking crap about my mom." I didn't even think. I just turned to him and said "and." He was dumbfounded and didn't answer. I walked off. He knew I hadn't said anything. He was trying to impose fear from me, and it didn't happen. Don't know what came over me, but it felt gangster as frick. I won a poker tournament when I was 22 for a total of $12,400. Stupidly, I took the prize in cash, got $100 100 bills, $40 50 bills and $20 20 bills just so I could hold all that cash. I spread it around the bed in my hotel room, played with it, made it rain and posed for pictures with it like I was in some rap video. Being 22 and immature, I eventually put half of it back playing blackjack and wasted the other half partying all over Las Vegas. Man, I did some dumb crap back then. Worst part was, I took out student loans in the following months to pay for law school. Although it obviously wouldn't have covered the whole thing. That would have been $10,000 or so I wasn't paying interest on. When I was in 3rd grade, a kid named Sean, who was twice my size, I'm female BTW, tried to steal my basketball. We ended up wrestling for it in the playground gravel. He kept digging his arm into my face and I threatened to bite him if he didn't get off of me. I chomped down hard until he cried and ended up going to tattle on me. To try and make light of the situation, I yelled out to him, "Just so you know, I have rabies." I got in trouble that day with the principal and my mother. Despite the wooden spoon spankings and the rock Sean eventually threw at me days later that would hit an earring, nearly tearing through an earlobe, I still feel I was entirely justified 18 years later. Frick you, Sean. I like you. Was playing hoops in gym class in high school. Some guy was shooting full court shots on the other end of the court like a dumb butt. One of his shots almost hit a kid who had a mental handicap in the head. The next shot hit him directly. Douchebag erupts in laughter. Kid starts to cry. I walked over and broke the bully's nose with 3 punches. Gym teacher tackles us and drags us to the office. We get dragged right through the cafeteria on the way to the principal so the whole school saw it. My smirk reads, "Yeah, I just broke his freaking nose." Principal said he had to suspend me for the day, but I was able to come back to school tomorrow. Frick yeah, justice. Ball is life. I work on weekends as a go-go dancer. Now usually we have the door guys looking out for us, but on this night it was particularly busy and I didn't have time to find one. I accept tips in a large tip jar and some girl decided to take a big handful of my tips and wave it around and start off with it. I jumped off the stage, wrapped my arm around her neck, grabbed her hand with the cash and slammed it against a wall, causing it to fall on the floor. I then shoved her in the face, broke her glasses and she walked off acting like I assaulted her for no reason. Everyone who saw what happened cheered and the DJ announced, "This is Bat Bar and we have the most gangster go-go dancers around." I got a lot of tips that night. I want to believe this is a true story. Man, this bee once asked me to hold her soda while she ran back to her car for something. She was all "Don't drink it," so of course that's the first frickin' thing I do. Because I DGAF. She sees me drinking her soda and she runs back all, "No, don't finish it." So I don't finish it. I pour the rest of the frickin' soda out on the ground. Let that bee watch her soda spill out all over the pavement like whatever. It was a cherry coke, too, and those are delicious. Mother, I was 16. Kicking her in the fricking face would have been less painful. Jesus. Silenced a tonk table in county jail. It was weird how the entire situation played out. It was my first time in jail, about my 5th day in, and I was sitting at a table of about 7 people. A guy came up to the table and wanted to play cards with us, and for some reason, while laughing obnoxiously, they started to tear this guy's ego to shreds. I felt bad for him, and in a slightly angry, stern voice I said let him play. I soon realized what I just did and immediately started to panic, but somehow managed to keep my cool. Everyone grew silent, and one of the other inmates kicked out a chair for him. Everything just continued like nothing happened. He turned out to be a really cool guy. The rest of the day I was completely dumbfounded at what took place. In college, we had one rule about us getting drunk. No one talked crap about my grandmother, she was sick at the time, and I get super defensive. So at a party one night, a guy, we will call him Bob. Well, he's in a frat and we're all drinking, having a wonderful time. He looks at me and out of nowhere says, "You know your grandmother is a wonderful lay. Fricked her to death, see you at the funeral." Now most of the time I'd let something roll off my shoulders, but that time I was very upset. He was on the front porch and I walked outside for a cig. He looked up and spoke again. This time I did. "I fricked your granny so hard." Now he was very drunk and I was as well, but this time my nerve had reached its end. I just kicked him in the mouth. Outright, boom, foot to his face, knocking him out. I just walked back into the house, told some frat brother of his I kicked him in the face, and went and passed out in my room. Not the best story, and grammar is so bad. Not a soul has spoken about this, and since then, TLDR kicked a dude in the face for telling me he fricked my grandmother. This probably isn't the most impressive thing, and if you're a young person reading this, please don't imitate it. So I don't really get in trouble a lot. Never have really. Got caught underage drinking, but that's about it. I try not to frick around too much, but we all have our bad streaks, right? So I was about 17 and my best friend was 16 or 17 as well. I had gotten my get already, but he was still going to high school. I could get cigarettes pretty easily, so during their breaks he would sell smokes to his classmates and we would split the difference. We also had pretty light fingers at the time. We would walk into the local Walmart and pick up a huge 24 case of soda, pay for it, leave, walk back inside, grab another one and just walk back out. We'd do this 5-6 times. So he started taking the soda to school and selling that too. It was practically free for us. Then we noticed we had never been stopped once. Not one time. So we stopped buying the original for the receipt and would walk in, both grab 2 cases, walk right out. That's it. We did this for months. We realized how stupid we were being and I've never stolen anything since. It was a rush at the time, but getting caught wouldn't have been worth it at all. Not exactly gangster. We made a crap ton of money though. Walmart. It used to be they didn't bother with shoplifters with less than $40 worth of stuff, as they found that 90% of their losses were from employees. This rule may have changed as the country got a little worse over the last few years. When I was a kid, I entered my mother's bedroom. She was laying there naked. She had been drinking all night. I snuck up behind her and I slipped my fingers into her purse. I took her money, the whole week's pay. I really fricked her over. You really are a mother sucker. I worked at Sears with a friend of mine. One day he left his Facebook open on one of the computers and lo and behold, 2 douchebags found it and started posting things about penises. So I walked over and squeezed in between them, grabbed the mouse and exited out, and then looked at them and said, "Now frick off." Then I proceeded to walk back to my department nervous as crap. They were gonna kick my butt. They probably wanted to, but I hid in a closet for about 20 minutes. That was so gangsta, right up to the hiding part, that is. A few years ago I was riding on my scooter, pulling out of Taco Bell, already gangsta, when someone pulled into the wrong lane and hit me head on. I flipped over the car and somehow landed on my feet and injured, except my shins were missing a little skin from flying over my handlebars. Even more gangsta. This is where I unfortunately soften up. My scooter is totaled, but the woman is crying, telling me she has a warrant out and kids etc, so please don't call the police or involve insurance companies. She tells me she is a dancer and makes $3,000 a night. She will pay me for a new scooter. Like a sucker, I agree. She strings me along for a bit, promising to pay but never coming through. Well, fast forward 2 weeks and I can no longer get a hold of this woman. I've now found out her insurance company and they pretty much believe me. but can't pay me anything without proof. 2 months go by, and I've given up hope. Then as I'm clearing my old voicemails I hear one from the woman telling me that she plans on paying me blah blah blah. I record that crap on my Nokia brick and text it to the insurance company. Boom, they pay me a crap ton for the scooter and another crap ton for bodily harm. Full gangsta status restored. TL. DR. Got hit by a stripper on my scooter. Almost got cheated out of payment. Got that money. Happened last week. So I live on a particularly bad street in a major city, and I just moved in for college again. So a drug dealer seemed to have made this his ground while I was away for the summer, and right when I moved in I noticed the subtle little talks he'd give to people and subtle giveaways. Now, I don't like drugs, using, selling, buying or anything like that, and I was kinda annoyed that some idiot was selling H outside my house. After 3 days of constantly seeing him, I walk outside my house and don't see him. I thought maybe he was sick or gone or whatever. The next day as I leave for some shopping I see him literally 2 feet from my stoop handing some guy a bag, and without thinking I said really. I literally almost crapped my pants when I realized I said it. But I decided to keep my cool. The guy looks at me and he said, what the frick do you see right now, motherfucking white boy? Now I'm a little pee off too. So with my hand on my legal gun, I say with the meanest look I could muster, not here. He was kinda startled that I had the balls to say that, and he may or may not have noticed I was grabbing a gun for defense. So he responded with alright, respect, and told the buyer to get lost and come back later. Ever since he smiles and waves when I see him and doesn't sell in front of my house anymore. I'm now craving the respect of a H dealer. I saw this black dude walk up to a trash can in our local park and carefully put a brown paper sack in it. I knew what was up. After he left I walked right the frick over there and stole that bag, which had $200 of drug money. I did not give no fricks who saw me or anything. Went home, put on a wife beater, and bought an Xbox 360. You know how we do. You got someone killed, I guarantee it. In 3rd grade, I cheated on my history exam. In 4th grade, I stole my Uncle Max's toupee and I glued it on my face when I was Moses in my Hebrew school play. In 5th grade, I knocked my sister Edie down the stairs and I blamed it on the dog. When my mom sent me to the summer camp for fat kids and then they served lunch, I went nuts and I pigged out and they kicked me out. But the worst thing I ever done, I mixed a pot of fake puke at home and then I went to this movie theater, hid the puke in my jacket, climbed up to the balcony, and then I made a noise like this. And then, this was horrible. All the people started getting sick and throwing up all over each other. I never felt so bad in my entire life. Let me preface this by saying I have a pretty violent mood disorder and, under the right circumstances, have gone into a manic state. Ran from the police in my underwear. When they fired the taser at me I ripped the little nodes out and kept running. Got tackled by the cops. Got punched in the balls by cops. Spit at the cop. Hit paramedic in the eye. Apologized to paramedic and said I was aiming for the fricking cop. When they fired the taser at me I ripped the little nodes out and kept running. Freaking brutal. I once went downhill after my girlfriend broke up with me. I went completely off the rails and broke an apple juice bottle in the street. That crap was so unrecognizable you'd be forgiven for mistaking it as orange juice. I got some real street cred after that, and got my brother's Club Penguin account banned by the automated system by saying where the hoss at? Taking a chick on a date. Cool chick, great humor, very sexy as well. So of course I take her to a dive bar. We pull in and every single spot was taken as there was an event across the street. Getting a little discouraged I see some jackass BMW parked sideways taking up 3 spots. We both kind of look at each other in disgust at this douchebag's park job. So I say I'm gonna leave this guy a note real quick. So I scribble on a napkin, dude, you drive a 10-year-old 3 Series. Please don't park it like it's a 7 Series. I know what you're thinking. Pretty gangster, right? Wrong. It gets way better. This dude and his broth come out right as I am placing this note on Captain Douchebag's windshield. He says something like, what the frick are you doing to my ride, bro? Honestly, I got kinda startled because I am pretty non-confrontational, but I got this hottie in the car and don't want to be out. So I say to this guy the first thing that comes to mind, which happens to be get the frick in your car Fall Out Boy before I got you. I don't even know what that means, but the dude and his bros totally bitched out and got in the car in a hurry. I just got in the car and laughed like I can't believe that worked. Anyways, we had a good time and I must have had sex with her for at least 4 minutes. G's up, hose down. My wife was helping our son in the family restroom at the mall and left her cell phone there. She realized it 10 minutes later and went to get it, but it was gone. We looked on Find My iPhone and it showed in the food court, but nobody could find it. It was shut off for a few hours when it showed up at a house in a neighborhood known for Mexican gangs. The police went there and turned the house upside down and couldn't find it. The next morning I told my boss I had to go to the bank. Didn't want him talking me out of it, and went to the house. I got a box out of the trunk of my car and went to the house pretending to look for the address. She said she didn't know. Then I said, "So can you tell me where my friend's iPhone is? If she doesn't have it back by 5 o'clock tomorrow, bad crap will happen." The lady didn't speak English and went to get someone else. I told the lady the same thing and left. The phone was back in the restroom within an hour. I like to think that the fact I am 6 feet 7 inches, 300 pounds, with a full beard intimidated them, but it was probably my charming personality. Late to the party, but oh well. I was driving to work early one morning, US. The light ahead of me turned red, but the new white SUV in front of me did not stop. In fact, the guy plowed into the rear of a car already at the light. I stop a little bit behind the SUV to give them some room for the traditional ritual of swapping the insurance card info, etc. The driver doesn't get out of his car though. No. Instead he backs the frick up and hits my dang car, then starts to drive off. At this point I'm just surprised. Then I see the car he'd hit absolutely totaled the rear end. I see red, and I start to chase that mother. He sees I'm in his tail and starts to switch lanes, gets off the main road, tries to lose me. I should add we are going the speed limit. It wasn't dangerous. Guy finally pulls over, gets out, starts saying, "No Policia, I don't speak Spanish." He doesn't speak English. No driver's license, just some documents showing where he rented the car from. Tells me where he works. I take pics of everything with my camera on my phone and let him go. When I got to work I sent the info to my insurance company and talked to the police about the incident. I got enough info from the documents and his place of employment for the cops to find him. Not only that, my insurance company told me the woman in the car he totaled called the police as well, and she was able to hold him accountable. My insurance company also told me to never, ever do that again. For the record, I am a short 50-something white woman. I must have been as intimidating as heck. Broke into the USC Film School studios to take pictures for a project I was working on. Snuck in and out without being noticed and correctly guessed the door code. Remember kids, real GSB silent like lasagna. Okay, so I was in college and walking down my street with my buddy. Some jackass yelled, "I fricked your mother," to which I replied, "I came in your mom's mouth then she kissed you goodnight." Jackass now comes down to the street with a huge crew of guys, maybe 20, and starts initiating fisticuffs. Armed with my longboard and my buddy with an empty bottle, a standoff ensues. Then Jackass spits on me. I lost it and swung at him with my board. Don't know if I connected properly, and I drop it and start throwing punches. Blows are exchanged and me and my buddy take an opportunity when it gets calm to get the frick out before the whole crew decides they want in. As I am going to get my board, Jackass tries to stomp it. This was $300 board, luckily made from bamboo, and I wasn't having that. Next, I go to my other friend's house and told my crew what just happened, and they are more pee than I am. It is time for retaliation. We call up some people and grab every weapon in the house. Baseball bats, brass knuckles, and even a nasty little chair leg with nails sticking out of it. We take the long way back to Jackass's house and along the way ask some random drunk people coming from that direction if the party is still going on. They said, "Yeah, go right in." As we passed I distinctly heard them say, "Oh crap, they have bats. Should we warn them?" That gave me a chuckle, but it was too late. We were at the door and walked in. It took a few seconds before the partiers understood the gravity of the situation, but all at once they go it. The music stopped and we searched out for Jackass, led by me now in super beast mode. I found him in the kitchen and pointed the bat at him. He knew he fricked up. I laid into him verbally about spitting and remember saying, "Don't talk crap when you don't know crap." I honestly don't remember most of it, but my friends later said they had never seen me so scary looking. Anyway, we didn't hurt anyone. Our point was definitely made. About an hour after the whole ordeal, the house owners came and apologized to us. Our crew was just but not one you wanted to frick with on those streets. I hope Jackass learned a lesson because he could have easily been stabbed for the crap he pulled. TLDR. Got spit on, crashed his party with weapons, went home, smoked pot. This is actually pretty gangster. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.